Attention!
Welcome to the Film Mages Podcast, where the popcorn is our ammunition, the couch is our foxhole, and the cinema is our place of worship.
Now let me see your war face.
And we are live, right? Are we live?
We are live.
Are we technically live?
Mick, you know what you don't need to do is
What? Do the
intro
beep, beep, beep,
music
beep, beep?
immediately after
Why?
the intro music that
I
already
think
plays.
it's
little
fun to
redundant.
have intro music after the
a
intro
little
music.
bit, little bit.
Welcome to the Film Majors Podcast, where redundancy is our goal.
Hello, I'm Zach.
I'm Mick.
I'm Alexis.
And welcome to the
And-
Film Majors Podcast,
Yeah.
where redundancy is our goal. I'm
Exactly.
Zach.
And, well, before we do that again, we also have a fourth person with us today, right?
Is there
a fourth person with us?
Heyo.
Who is this?
Is there a special guest in the building?
Hey everyone!
Oh my God! We have a special guest today, and I mean truly special. Please introduce yourself, please.
Hey, I am Megan, also known as MeaganzWorld on Instagram and TikTok.
Goddamn right.
Ooh,
Yes.
get the plug out of the way right away.
Plug,
We
do
Yes.
that. We love a confident person. Hell yeah!
Hell yeah,
Fuck
Megan. What do you do on Instagram and TikTok?
Yeah, so I do movie and also TV reviews and pop culture commentary on Instagram.
And
Love
it's
it.
fantastic. I have to say, please check out Megan's World. That's Megan's with a Z.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's a great film review site. I fucking love what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
So I've really wanted you to be on our show for a while, but we know each other outside of
We
that.
do, yes.
Yes.
We actually used to do theater camp and film camp together back in when we were kids and
Yes.
teenagers. So
Yeah.
yeah, Mick and I go way back.
We do go way back. Actually, for our listeners right now, Megan, we have not seen each other like in
Yes.
person
Yes.
for years.
Yes.
So this is actually a bit of a reunion right
Yeah.
now.
yes, this is like high school reunion.
This is kind of a high school reunion right here.
Even though we didn't go to the same high school, but it's basically
No.
that.
However, Alexis does remain outnumbered as the only non-Oregonian.
I was literally about
on
to
this
say there's
podcast.
so much Oregon
Yeah.
energy in the room today.
That's right.
Oregon represent.
Every single guest we've ever had has
That's
been
right.
from the
Oh my
state
God.
of Oregon.
That's
Is
incredible.
that true? Oh, I guess it is.
Yeah.
We're batting 1,000 on Oregonians.
Alexis, whoever you invite, make sure they're from Oregon because we have to continue that.
I was going to say
trajectory.
something super rude,
Please.
but I won't.
Well, come on, Alexis, what's going on?
Hey, there it goes.
You
love
got me.
it.
You got me.
Yeah. And for those of us who are new listeners, hi, how you doing? This is our famous segment, What's Going On? Where we
Yeah.
talk about what's going on. Megan, what's going on?
Oh man, so I've watched a lot of movies over the weekend.
That's
so,
awesome.
Hell yeah. We love that at the Film Majors.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
You were an honorary film major at this point,
Oh,
then, for
thank
that.
you. It's nice to be an honorary film major because I'm a huge fan of the show too.
Oh,
Yes. So,
Playing,
man,
you're playing your cards right now. God.
I am.
I just slipped her $20 out of the table for saying that. Thank you.
our guests are paid.
That's right.
But anyway, I did a kind of a double feature. So I watched the 30 for 30 docuseries on Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan.
Oh,
And
nice.
then I also did that with the film I, Tanya.
Nice.
So that was really good. I actually recommend doing a double feature that way. But man, I loved the documentary, the 2014 documentary about that situation because it both shows Tanya's side and actually get an interview with Tanya Harding, and then you also get Nancy Kerrigan's side, but there's no interview with her because she's just so done with everything regarding that. So you mostly get interviews from her peers and her coach and whatnot. And then I, Tanya, of course, is a biopic starring Margot Robbie, and that one's really good, but dang, it is heartbreaking. It's
Yeah.
such a heartbreaking movie, and I keep forgetting how heartbreaking it is, but yeah, it's wild, so.
Tanya Harding, another Oregonian.
Yes,
my
I
God.
was pulling it
Keep
back
it-
around.
That's right.
the
That's
state.
right.
Keeping it in the state. This should have been like an Oregon theme episode, but whatever.
Absolutely.
That's kind of true, actually.
We did kind of whiff that.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I went to a Q&A screening when that came out. I really liked that movie. I also skated when I was a kid, so that was fun
Oh,
for me.
wow.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I played hockey.
Wow. Yeah. That's so cool, dude.
That's awesome.
Wow. That's cool, though. That's really cool that you check those out. I loved I, Tonya.
Yeah,
by
me
the way.
too. Yeah, I loved it too. So that was like my third or fourth time watching it because I actually saw it in theaters when it came out, and that was like a really great film to watch on the big screen. But it's been a couple years since I revisited it. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Anything else you've watched?
Oh, yeah. So actually, I put up a poll on my Instagram about just different films I should watch, and one of them was White Man Can't Jump. So there was actually a reboot, so I decided to do another double feature.
You watched the original.
I watched the original, and then I watched the reboot. And the original, for the first time, actually, I thought it was pretty decent. Like, Woody Harrelson, of course, is amazing. Wesley Snipes, Rosie Perez. So, yeah, that was a really good one. It was not what I was expecting. I thought it would be more basketball-centric.
Yeah.
But
it's about gambling.
It is about gambling,
No, I
yes.
was talking to someone recently about White Men Can't Jump, and they said it's like a legit, really good movie. I've never seen it.
It is.
But I love Wesley Snipes and fucking Woody Harrelson, right? He's in that, right?
Yep, he's in it.
We're big
so
Blade
good.
fans here.
We are.
Mick
by
cut
the
the
way-
Blade triple feature at the New Beverly earlier this
and
year.
it was fantastic.
Nice.
Where's your poster? I got you the fucking poster.
I need to put it up. I still have it. Yeah, I gotta get a frame for it. I do have a Blade
It
poster.
hurts my feelings.
Okay, I'll put it
don't
up,
have it
buddy.
up.
I'm
God.
sorry. I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Jeez. Sorry, Megan.
Oh, yeah, no, you're
We had to
good.
get that out. It's a little bit pent up.
Sometimes
Not gonna lie.
he's been screaming at me about it off mic.
Oh, no,
I've been cowering. It's how it is here.
It's all good. So yeah, I watched that. Yeah, I was not expecting it to be about gambling and hustling and stuff like that, but it's such a great movie. I highly recommend it. And then there's the reboot White Man Can't Jump, and it fails to comparison. Like, I hate to be that
Oh, does
person. It's not terrible. It's just very mid.
Wait.
Like,
Well, thank God
Megan,
they did a
question.
remake.
So you're telling me that you can't just swap Woody Harrelson out for Jack Harlow and expect it to work?
That's the winning combination.
I've always called Jack Harlow this generation's Woody Harrelson.
you cannot, no. I mean, like, Jack Harlow is not a bad actor, but at the same time, he doesn't really have much of a public persona. Then I can't really say, oh, he's playing a character, because for me, it just seems like he's playing a kind of hipster former basketball player Jack Harlow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's definitely a different story. It's less about the gambling piece and kind of more about, I guess, the two main characters' interactions, but also trying to make it out in the world and stuff like that. So, I don't know. It's an okay movie. I mean, there's some jokes that are actually really funny, but a lot of them I'm like, oh, okay.
So we shouldn't review it on this show. is what
I
you're
mean, if
saying.
you want to do a double feature, go ahead, but it's like,
Yeah.
We do love a double feature.
We do love
Yeah.
double features on this show.
Yeah,
For
or at least
sure.
my two co-hosts do. I've
yeah.
never picked one.
Oh well, that
Okay,
well,
well,
They
first of all-
established that they can cheat like that.
It's not cheating
I
when
did
we
it
run the
first,
game.
So I'm a
That's
rule
true.
breaker.
Listen,
I was just coding. I was just skating on her coattails of success here.
I wanted to spread the blame around equally, but it is your fault, Alexis.
Yeah, Megan.
You are my
God.
I'm proud of that. I'm proud of being the first one to say I get to choose
Yeah, she's
two.
proud. Yeah, listeners, she's proud of Do Revenge and Bullet
I
Train.
don't give a
cannot
shit.
relive
I
We
don't give a
cannot-
shit.
Oh man,
I enjoy that episode, though. I have to make it
Fun when we're arguing sometimes. I mean,
That's true. Wait, what did you think? Let's fucking get into it.
yeah, let's
What
get
did
into
you
it.
think of Do Revenge and Bullet Train?
Oh my God.
Okay, so Do Revenge was a pleasant surprise. I was not expecting it to like it as much as I did.
Oh my
I
God.
actually really did enjoy it. There were some parts that were cringy, but I was just like, hey, for just like a teen drama, it's good. As far as Bullet Train, it was okay, but it's also kind of my guilty pleasure movie. One of my
is it?
guilty pleasure movies.
Guilty pleasure movie.
Exactly what Alexis
she
said.
gets
pretty
it.
much.
She gets it.
I get it, yeah. Oh, also speaking of guilty pleasure movies, another film I watched recently that's starting to become a new guilty pleasure movie is A Little Mermaid.
Oh yes,
I know
yes,
you hate it.
yes.
Okay.
So, did you listen to his rant?
I did.
Oh,
I did.
okay.
I was like,
Let's get into
I
it.
can't wait to get into
I also
it.
went to see this movie this week. I specifically didn't review it on Letterboxd so I could do it here.
Wait, hold
Yes.
on. Okay, so let me just say I haven't seen it yet, so I will be the moderator
Can
for
I
this.
provide
be
a
the
little bit
moderator.
of perspective on my weekend and like the first part of my week?
Yeah, dig your grave a little deeper, Zach. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I went to my friend.
Take this shovel.
I went to my friend Zoe and Joey's wedding. Zoe,
Okay.
who did our podcast art.
Congratulations once again, Zoe and
so,
Joey.
While I was in the car, I picked up Zoe's friend Emma, who I had not met before, and she mentioned that she had seen The Little Mermaid. She was talking about it, and I was like, I have not met this person before. I'm not saying anything.
Right.
And then later at the fucking like party before the wedding, someone was like, "Oh, Zach, I liked how you tore into The Little Mermaid." And Emma looked at me and she was like, "You lied to me." And I was like, "No, I just didn't share my opinion because I didn't want you to think I was an asshole yet."
See, that really goes into is omitting information lying. You know?
And I think that's a deeper question.
That is a deep question.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've obfuscated this enough. Megan,
Yeah, Zach has been wrong enough.
what are
Megan,
your
take it
feelings
away.
on The Little Mermaid?
Okay, Halle Bailey. I'm a Halle Bailey simp, so I watched it just specifically for her. And yes, amazing. 8. She
Yes.
did.
That
8. It left
is-
no crumbs.
Yes.
That is the
honestly.
one thing
Nice.
that I will concede on The Little Mermaid.
Yes.
She is good.
Yes. Aquafina is terrible. I'm sorry. I am not an Aquafina fan, and
Yeah.
her being Scuttle, I don't know. Scuttle's just so annoying, but it's like...
I heard the Scuttle song.
Is terrible.
I heard it the other day on TikTok, and oh my god,
It is awful, and it's like
Scuttle
the
Bus.
most, it's the
that?
most Lin-Manuel Miranda song, and like I didn't even have to like look into the credits that Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote that song because I'm like, this is, of course there's a Scuttle and Sebastian rap. Of course there is. And Daveed Diggs is in it, who was in Hamilton, of course. And of course he's rapping. And yeah, he was all right as Sebastian, but I, of course, prefer the original voice actor because, but the CGI wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not perfect, but it wasn't as bad.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
yeah.
As far as Prince Eric, I really liked what they did with his character. As far as the acting and how he went, I thought he was decent. And I just really enjoyed the movie. I liked how I just liked seeing the connection between Eric and Ariel, and yeah, I thought that was beautiful because it felt like a rom-com, and even though I'm not the biggest rom-com fan, it felt like a Disney rom-com. If you know, you know.
Alexis, Alexis.
Yeah, Alexis.
Yeah, chime in, please.
Okay, so first off, I loved it. I went and saw it in theaters with a roommate, and I had a great time. The underwater animation, didn't love it. It definitely felt like a little wrong. But I have a bone to pick with you, Zach, because you said that she doesn't have red hair, but she does have red hair.
What? I didn't say that.
No, that was not one of
Was
his
that-
gripes.
Yeah, I didn't
Was
say
that-
that at all. That might have been Mick earlier.
No, that
Okay,
wasn't
because I was
it.
like
I definitely
looking at her
didn't
hair, and I
say
was like,
that.
she does have red hair. What
No,
are people
she has
talking
red
about
hair.
her not
I
having
know.
red hair?
It's more of a copper. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
just like
no.
it's the red that looks good with her skin tone. Like, I mean, a fire truck red
Exactly,
wouldn't look right.
yeah.
with
Listen,
her.
none of
that's
my
just-
complaints with this movie were racism. I
didn't-
want to be clear.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that either.
I want to make my point known. My issue with The Little Mermaid is not that Ariel is black. You can roll the tape back.
Yeah, because Zach cut that part out of the episode.
Okay,
Do not slander me like this.
I'm sorry, Prince Eric's dimples, cutest thing I've ever fucking seen.
He's adorable,
He's
right?
adorable.
His dimples.
His dimples. Prince Eric's pimples. I was like, oh god.
I am embarrassed to say that I've listened to that fucking song Uncharted Waters so much it's already on my on repeat on Spotify.
Oh my goodness.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's a good song. He has this like boy band moment. It's
Yeah.
actually really funny. But yeah, he's like on a boat. He's like drenched in the rain and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of like
So he was-
shirtless moments or
Wait,
quasi shirtless
so he's
moments.
This is less
Is
about
he
the
moist?
song.
Yes.
He's a moist boy.
Oh,
He's a
no, now
moist
you're
boy.
going to get Mick on board.
Is
You
it
know
a
how I
boat
love
movie?
Boys.
There are boats.
There are a lot of boats.
Oh,
yeah.
it's a boat movie. I might have to watch it.
Yeah, there's like a drunken sailor type of thing.
Yeah.
Like sequence. Yeah.
The very beginning of the
You know
movie,
what?
when I was in the theater, I was like, "Oh my god, Mick would literally love this." We just finished.
That
Boat
is
Man.
also what I thought at the opening, and then I watched the rest of the movie,
the
and I was
prince
like, I
just
don't think Mick would
repels
like
down
this.
on the on a fucking rope, and I'm like, that is the hottest shit I've ever seen. You said he had
Wow.
no riz, but
Did
there
you-
he was
did you just
flinging himself
regain
about
your
on the
sight?
sails.
Were you struck blind from a young age? What is this?
Wow. You know what? I am now firmly on the fence.
Yeah.
I might have to check this movie out.
You might. You might. It's,
Zach. This might be happening.
One thing I like about this movie, though, it takes place in the Caribbean, so it's a little bit different than the original, but I really liked how they embraced that Caribbean.
Nice.
Yeah,
Where
feel
does the
to the
original
movie.
take place?
I think it's
Under the sea.
Under the sea, and
Right.
like a lot of people think it takes place in like Denmark or is supposed to take place
Ugh.
like around there too, which
God.
it doesn't really make
Why?
any sense because like Sebastian is clearly Caribbean or Jamaican.
Yeah.
So it's just like, did she just like
That's weird.
did they get shipwrecked and then just like
Yeah, how'd the crab
like
get
how
here?
did they like
Why-
move off?
Why are you here?
Again, it's an animated movie.
I mean, I wonder if they
original,
did that
so it just makes
because
sense.
Hans Christian Andersen isn't he Danish?
Yeah.
He's German.
Is he German?
No, he's Danish.
Is it German?
So,
Okay.
It depends on the
So I
spelling.
guess
of
that's why
Andersen.
they did it, but I don't know. Whatever. Movie's going to movie in that regard, but they
Yeah.
made it in the Caribbean, a non-distinct area of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Tight.
I love the way that they fell in love though, because like he's like a huge little nerd and he gets so excited because she's like excited about like exploring and like she's just a really curious person and he's like, oh my god, someone to do all the things with me, and he gets so stoked and I'm just like, that is so precious and it feels so genuine, whereas like
Yes.
in the animation, like, you know, of course I love the first movie obviously, but it just felt real, like them falling in love this time. And I'm not
Yes.
gonna, I teared up a few times because I love the fucking Little
I did
Mermaid
too.
music.
Yes, I did too. When Hallie, sorry, that was her sister Chloe. Okay, when Hallie was singing "Part of Your World," I legitimately cried.
That's
like
the best
I was
number
just
in the
like,
movie.
and I actually saw it back to back because of course I saw it on opening night, like a pre-screening, and there was little kids just running around the theater, of course. So I was like, hey, can I just watch this a second time so I could concentrate and actually do my review? And then they were like, oh yeah, I could go ahead. Free tickets. And I ended up acquiring twice
Oh, no
at
shit.
the movie.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
It actually was like even more powerful the second time I watched it. So
Oh.
Wow.
yeah, it was beautiful. And I guess I guess why I also cried too is because her performance, you could find that longing of wanting to be out in the world, but also too, I guess it hit me knowing how much backlash just because, you know, the skin colors don't match or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think, and she just did the role so well. And I think that's also what made me cry too.
Yeah.
You know, and also seeing or hearing little girls in the audience like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. I was like, I lost it.
Hey, representation matters,
It
folks.
does. It does.
really does.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it was like little white girls saying that she looked beautiful too. So I'm like, it's, you know, racism is learned. It's not, you know, it's not instinctive.
Yeah.
So,
That's
Yeah.
fucking
you know.
true. Yes, Zach.
Well, my complaint.
I have one final note. One final
You
note.
should be able to criticize this movie without being a racist.
Oh yeah, no, it's not a perfect movie. It's not a perfect movie, but it's my guilty pleasure movie.
Wow.
I am going to be slandered all over the internet.
Yeah. Like a thin veneer, like a mist will be sprayed onto the internet.
Alexis, what was your final thought?
Okay, so two little things, but like the original like movie came out in the 80s, which like contextually you think about it, women were like coming like to the forefront of like the workforce as like executives and stuff. So there was like this big theme of like women are independent and blah blah blah, right? That you don't get in like Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella and all those things, right? So she was kind of like one of the first like Disney princesses after that kind of like era. And so I really love what they did in this movie because it's like when your dreams are bigger than what you have at home, you know, sometimes you have to like leave your family. But I love that, you know, at the very end, it's we love you so much that we can let you go, and anytime you come back, we will welcome you with open arms. That shit fucking touched me so deeply. I was like, it's fine, I'm fine.
Yes, yeah. I won't ruin the ending too much. I mean, the ending's a little bit different, but yeah, the ending just kind of wraps that whole idea up so perfectly, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lovely.
Cool.
Well, there's a counter perspective
Yeah.
on The Little
Yeah.
Mermaid. If you want
That's
mine, go back and listen to the last episode. I said what I needed to.
Wow. That was great. I want to go on record and say I enjoyed that. It was great hearing some insightful perspectives for once on the movie. So thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Megan.
If you know, folks.
Yeah. So,
I watched a film.
yeah, what did you
I
watch?
watched a film that I hadn't seen before.
What?
I watched Love, Simon last night.
Oh, I love
cute.
Simon.
Yeah, no, good guy. Go back and listen to our Philadelphia story episode. No, I watched the 2018 film Love, Simon.
I don't get that.
You don't remember having Simon on the podcast?
Oh, that's right.
Jesus.
Oh, I was like, I don't get that reference.
Oh my god. Yeah, to a person that I know.
For me and all our other listeners. Alexis, did you get the reference?
Yes. I love Simon.
Really?
I maintain, well,
Wow.
obviously I love Jake too, but I love the energy that Simon brought to the podcast. He really balanced out
Yeah,
you
well,
two.
I love Edwin. I'm going to go on record to that I love Edwin.
Yeah, no, me too.
Yeah.
I love you too,
Since
Edwin.
we're related at all.
Jeez.
Anyways.
Everything's a competition on this show,
But,
Megan, just so you know.
No, I watched the 2018 coming of age dramedy Love, Simon, which
I love
is
Simon.
about a closeted gay boy who starts having like an online pen pal relationship with another anonymous closeted gay boy at his school. It's not really like the typical kind of like teen movie that I enjoy. I would say I'm more in the like super bad camp than the perks of being a wallflower camp.
I mean, you're dressed like Andre the Giant, so I would agree with that.
Thank you.
I can see.
Too much,
Yeah,
buddy.
what are you wearing, by the way?
I'm wearing my Pender Island
Pender
Disc
Island
Golf
Disc Golf
Tournament
tank top.
because I was going to go to the gym later.
It feels like you should be talking like this. It's like Princess Bride.
I enjoyed Love, Simon.
Nice, that's
I
good.
was kind of surprised how much I liked it. I thought it had a good soundtrack. I thought the lead actor, Nick Robinson, was a very watchable screen presence. You know, it's not perfect. You know, it kind of leans on teen movie cliche, which I tend to not love. But overall, I was entertained, and yeah, that was a recommendation
Very
from
cool.
my girlfriend Sloan. So thank you, Sloan.
Yes, thank you,
Loved
Sloan.
watching it, even though you were asleep for most of it.
Yeah, that is how that goes.
That's girlfriend duty.
It's fine. She's seen it before.
So what's going on with me? I went to my first film premiere on Wednesday. Yeah. Thank you. I went and saw Fairyland. Listeners, I'm sure you've heard about it before if you've listened to our podcast, but if you haven't yet, there's a movie coming out this year called Fairyland. It is about the AIDS epidemic in San Francisco from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It is a heart-wrenching film. I was very lucky to work on it. I was so proud to be a part of it, but I may not go to a film premiere again. Those things are fucking chaos. Oh my God. It's just like everyone comes together to just be anxious for a little bit.
Oh man.
It's like, it's like no wonder everyone's fucking drunk at these things.
It's only every day of my life.
Yes. No. Yeah. It was normal. But no, it was. I'm very fortunate to have gone because this is not the opening premiere of the movie. It had premiered at Sundance and at a film festival in New York, but this was the San Francisco premiere,
Which is where it was shot.
which is where we shot it. It is, it takes place in San Francisco, and so seeing it in the Castro district at this beautiful Castro Theater, which currently it's kind of some controversy behind who's going to be renovating it, but it's a beautiful theater. Check it out if you're in the area, and seeing it with that crowd was incredible because this is they played it at the Pride festival that they have there.
Oh, nice.
And it was a full packed house. I cried. I did not expect to, but it got me.
Wow.
It did got me. So maybe at one point we could talk about Zach. You mentioned earlier that there might be some Oscars buzz around it.
Yeah, that's one of my early predictions for an Oscar
Having
nomination.
seen it, I don't know about that, but it's still a good movie. I'm still glad I was a part of it.
Out.
I'm very
so
excited.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. So that happened, and then last night I went and saw Allison and Brad. If you're listening to this, I finally saw Fantastic Planet. Only because we had someone write in. His name's Brad, lovely guy, who was wondering if we'd ever seen that movie.
Yeah, right into the podcast,
Alexis,
filmagespod@gmail.com.
I know you've seen it.
Yes.
I know you liked it.
Yeah.
It is a fucking fever dream, psychedelic 1970s French trip.
Oh, that
It's
sounds
insane.
fun.
No, it's insane. But I love what it has a lot to say that's philosophical about humanity. It kind of plays with this fun idea of what if like humans were grown up but as pets. Like how we would operate, like if there were giant alien creatures and
Oh my
but
gosh.
we're like the insects, we're the pets. It was kind of disturbing, but also kind of funny. Super beautifully animated. And then I saw afterwards a double feature. I saw Heavy Metal, which is a Canadian. Have you seen that?
I've heard of it. I've always wanted to see it. I heard it was insane.
I preferred it to Fantastic Planet, but it's hilarious. It's insane. It has a wonderful soundtrack. I mean, they've got Stevie Nicks on there. Really, really good stuff. John Candy voices a character in it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's so funny.
Nice.
Eugene Levy's in there. It has some a lot of people from SCTV. Heavy Metal is awesome. Great soundtrack. I think it was my favorite out of the two double features. Oh,
Nice.
and
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about the thing that we need to talk about.
yeah. Dun, 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 dun. That's right, folks. The Mission Impossible Watchathon continues.
You're getting this every week until July.
That's right, folks. Get your tickets now. I believe that you can. They're now for sale, right? For Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yes, they are.
Megan, are you excited for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1?
You know what? I am.
Really?
I really actually love Fallout too. I was pleasantly surprised by that one. That one was so good.
Yes.
Faced, Alexis. Faced.
Fallout was amazing.
Any of them.
That was like I was so happy to see that one in theaters, and it was such a great time
So good.
watching in theaters.
Wasn't Henry Cavill
Yeah,
amazing?
Amazing.
But you know
Incredible.
what? We're not talking about Mission Impossible
That's
Fallout.
right.
We are talking about Mission Impossible 3, which...
The real theme of that
someone-
movie should be womp, womp, womp.
Yeah, someone, we don't have to say who, but someone referred to the first Mission Impossible movie as a bootleg fucking movie.
What a bootleg movie.
And I would say I wouldn't agree with her on Mission Impossible 1,
yeah.
but I'd absolutely agree with her on Mission Impossible
Because
3.
I don't know.
Dull.
I don't-
J.J. Abrams is my enemy.
Yeah, I have to say I walked out not on purpose, but I had to leave to go to my double feature. But I left there's 20 minutes left of the movie, and I'm still gonna rewatch those last 20 minutes so I get the whole movie. I've seen it before, Mission Impossible 3 is very mid.
Yeah, the only
It's
context
very
I
mid.
ever watched that movie in is rewatching the whole series.
Yeah, you never go back. It's never the one you go back to.
I would say it's maybe technically has fewer insane low point decisions as Mission Impossible 2,
Right.
i.e. the fucking new metal theme song.
Oh yeah.
But there aren't any fantastic highs, like the knife
No.
near the eyeball or two motorcycles crashing midair and exploding.
There's no single sequence that really sticks out except maybe the bridge attack. But I'm
I
just
don't
giving you
even like
that.
that.
It's just because it was in the trailer so much.
Most of the action in 3 is not super stunt heavy, assisted
No.
by CG, and kind of choppily edited. It's J.J. Abrams' first feature coming off of being a TV guy.
And as I mentioned, a critique lobbied against this movie was actually from J.J. Abrams himself.
Yeah, that it's all close-ups and medium
It's
shots.
not. It's
there's
because he
no
said
sense
that,
of scale.
He said that he was so used to shooting for television screen sizes that he didn't quite know yet that this is a big movie, JJ, so you need to make the screen big. So he kind of struggled with that a little bit, but he'd be the first one to tell you that.
Yeah, I also fucking hate the MacGuffin in that movie.
It's awful.
It's J.J. Abrams' fucking mystery box
Yeah,
storytelling.
if you're gonna have a super weapon, at one point tell us what it.
Yeah, you have to tell me what it does.
That's what's so weird.
Don't be fucking cute about it.
It never actually explains what the rabbit's foot is ever, so that's kind of a mistake.
It does have Philip Seymour Hoffman in it, though.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though.
R.I.P.
I mean, you could,
so
exactly. If you compare that to the second movie, which has the worst villain of the whole franchise, and yet Philip Seymour Hoffman is arguably the best villain of the franchise in terms of
Or at least
acting
up there,
chops, how is it that Mission Impossible 2 is still better? I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So, but it's still a fun time. You still get to see Ethan Hunt do his thing.
It's fine.
It introduces us to Benji, which we love that. The team's coming together. We got Luther there still. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So, this is going to be the only time I say this. This is a Mission Impossible movie that you could skip.
You can maybe skip it,
Yeah.
but you shouldn't if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. All right. Well, do we have anything else, Megan? Are there any other films that you've seen that you want to discuss?
Yeah. Anything at all?
Man, okay. Let me look at my letterbox right here. Oh, here's yes.
Ooh.
So here's an underrated movie that actually is really good. 3,000 Years of Longing. I watched that one. It is so freaking good.
If you're really
into
good, right?
if you're into like fantasy type of movies, or like geared towards adults, watch this one. It is really good.
I loved it. We actually, the film majors, we all went out together.
We did.
Yeah, we saw that together.
We saw that together as a
nice.
unit. I loved it so much actually that Zach was very kind. He bought me a Blu-ray of it.
I did. It's over on the
nice.
shelf.
It's wonderful. That movie was such a I'm glad we're talking about that because again, what I loved about 3,000 Years of Longing is it's just like it's such a historical poem. It's so fantastical. It is so. It's luscious in its visuals and its world building and production design, and it's just a movie that fucking George Miller squeaked out in between Mad Max movies.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's arguably what's most impressive about this. It's so good.
George was flexing.
George is flexing, man.
Love it.
We love George Miller on this show. Great movie. I really love that.
Absolutely amazing movie. And yeah, shout out to Katie for recommending that film for me. That was another poll I put on my Instagram.
Nice.
And that
Thank
was
you,
one of the-
Katie.
Yes. So
Hell yeah.
that was amazing.
Anything
Nice.
else?
Oh man. Oh, I also watched The Woman King as well. And
I needed to see that.
Yes, yeah, no, that was a pretty good movie, but like, I really didn't really know how to. I liked the movie. I noticed there was like a lot of like controversies within the Black community about it, and I was like, while I was watching the movie, I was like, where is the controversy? You know what I mean?
What is the controversy?
Well, like some people were saying that they just didn't really like how. So the Dahomey tribe, they actually were a part of the slave trade. So they were like, okay, when we get representation in Africa, you're picking the tribe that actually were involved within the slave trade.
Yeah,
to
I
a certain
remember that.
extent.
Oh, okay.
So is that, and then another thing too, which might be out of left field, but a lot of people were saying that the women warriors were depicted as too masculine, and I just think that's so subjective because I'm like, no, not really.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're warriors, right?
Exactly.
They're supposed to be ripped, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Let women be jacked.
Where are their stilettos?
right, yeah, and I kind of understand to a certain extent because oftentimes Black women, especially dark-skinned Black women, are depicted as masculine or more masculine presenting in media and stuff like that. And there needs to be more representation, representing women not just being strong, but also being feminine and dainty and stuff like that. So I understand that to a certain extent, but I just think this is not really the media to critique in that regard.
Right.
Unless it should be more of a critique of the film industry in general.
Yeah.
When depicting African women. So yeah, I mean, I'll probably make a TikTok about that. Spoiler or whatever.
Go check out our
You
TikTok.
heard it here first, folks.
So
Hell yeah.
I might, because that's what I was thinking about the entire time I was watching it. And I usually try to avoid any type of reviews or critiques, but it seemed like the time when that movie came out, a lot of people were bringing up The Woman King because even when Black Panther Wakanda Forever came out, a lot of people were bringing up The Woman King, and I'm just like, I'm trying to escape any of these Women King, critiques and stuff. But yeah, but I just think it was a well done movie. It's definitely heartbreaking. There's definitely a lot of intense scenes, even though it's a PG-13 movie. It's very intense. But yeah, because there's triggering topics. But overall, I think it's a really well done film. But I understand some of the criticism criticisms towards it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I love a historical epic, and I love Viola
Same.
Davis, so I'm probably going to check it out.
Yeah, check
That's
it
right.
I
out.
can't believe I missed it last year. What was I doing?
Yeah.
I think I saw Elvis when that came out, and I regret that decision.
Well, that's a good choice.
No, it's
that's
not,
a good choice.
But it's not, though. Alexis, anything else?
Yeah, I actually watched a couple of movies. I watched Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh, what do you think?
Oh, I love that movie.
That one's a good
Please
one.
go
Yeah,
on.
it was great. I mean, I feel like I didn't love it as much as I loved the first movie, but I still really liked it.
Yeah.
But then I also, like, at the end, I was all, wait, what the fuck? I don't get an ending? Like, I felt like the movie went on for so long, and then I was like, bitch, I didn't even get a fucking ending to this movie? What the
Oh, that's right.
That's
It's a
kind
half a
of-
movie, right?
It is, yeah.
right.
So that's like it goes off a cliffhanger, but I actually thought that was refreshing because you never see that in cinema anymore. At least I think so, you know. So I just think that was really cool, and it really played into the more like comic book feel
Yeah.
that they were trying to do
To
with
be
the movie, like
continued.
the to be continued
Yeah.
until next issue type of thing.
Yeah. I felt similarly about Across the Spider-Verse that I did about Dune Part 1, where I'm like, this could go up like a star.
Exponentially.
Like, I like
when-
this movie a
yeah.
lot, and I could be like near flawless if the second one sticks the landing.
Nice.
Yeah.
What else, Alexis?
I was gonna say I have two little side notes. You know, they make a joke at the beginning, like they're like, "Oh, I heard like Spider-Man is Puerto Rican." He's like, "Actually, I heard he's Dominican." So the person that they got to play Spider-Man in Earth 42 is actually a Dominican actor. He was also in Moonlight and When They See Us. I can't remember what his
wow.
name is. But yeah, he's like an Afro Latino Dominican actor. So they actually got like a Dominican
that's
person
cool.
to like straight up play him in Earth 42, which kind of like calls back the joke of like, oh, I heard he's Dominican.
Nice,
Oh,
fuck yeah.
nice.
So I thought that was fun.
nice.
Another thing is that they animate like all the other Spider-Men on like they change them every one frame, but with Miles they specifically change him every 2 frames, and then with Daniel Kaluuya's character they change him every 3 frames. So there's like, so they have certain ones at like a different frame rate, so that when they're moving, he has a different look to him, you know. So he's even
Nice.
whatchamacallit, non-conforming in his frame rate. I love that.
Oh, that's so cool.
That
I love
kind of
that.
fits into our big topic for today.
It does.
Yeah.
The only other thing I saw was Hairspray, which was, oh my god, so much fucking fun. Like, I talked to my sister about watching Female Trouble, and she was like, oh, you know, I haven't seen Hairspray in like so long. And then I literally was on Fandango and I saw that it was the 35th anniversary of Hairspray and they were playing in theaters. So I was like, nah,
awesome.
we gotta
Wow.
fucking go. We gotta go. And like, I don't know if we'd ever watched that movie together, but like we had it on VHS in the house. So we watched it separately like a bunch of times, and it was so fun. Like, Link Larkin, fucking hot. He's down bad for Tracy, and I love that for him. There's like this part where this lady like swings her fucking purse like it's a nunchuck and like hits him in the fucking knees, and he ends up hospitalized in a wheelchair. And then like as soon as Tracy comes back, he's out of the wheelchair. And anyways, it's just hysterical. I love it.
Oh my god, I gotta watch that.
No, it's great.
All right. Anything else?
No, let's get the fuck out of what's going on. Oh my god.
And we're back.
We're back, folks.
Alrighty.
God, it's good to be
Yeah,
back.
it's nice. We had a nice long break.
10,000 years, you get such a crick in the neck.
I actually do have a crick in the neck.
You do? Yeah, what's
my
going
neck
on
is-
with that?
I was doing too many chicken fights in a pool.
Oh my God.
You know, you can't do that anymore. It's like a cockfight, but in the pool.
Well, you know. Listen, we
Jesus
had to spice
Christ.
it up.
Oh
we
my
like to see
God.
those boys swim. Yeah, so now we are out of what's going on, and we're into our big topic for the day. And
Yes.
Nicholas, you had the big topic. You made the
I
suggestion.
did have the big topic. So today I wanted to discuss with my friends here on the show what are some movies that, well, play with form. What is a movie that we enjoy, or movies, plural, bring as many as you want to the table. There are no wrong answers, of films that kind of don't really follow the rules necessarily. Like French New Wave is a really good example of that. Movies that combine animation and live action. You don't see that a lot. Mockumentaries, docudramas, just anything that kind of plays with form, because, not all narrative films have to be the same. I mean, that's kind of what's so great about cinema as an art form. Is you can't, if you are a good filmmaker, you can push the box, you can make it whatever the hell you want it to be. So is there any films that we want to discuss, films that are kind of fun that we think our listeners should know about?
Megan?
Well, the first thing that I thought about too, and it's kind of fun, we mentioned it before, but it was Across the Spider-Verse. It definitely plays around with that because, and kind of more of the multiverse thing, because and even though it's an animated movie, you do get live action as well. So I thought that was really fun. And of course, the whole cliffhanger as well.
Yeah, there are some live action elements in that
cool.
movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, also, everything Alexis is talking about, playing around with frame rate, playing around with, different styles of animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick. And the first one as well. I mean, the way they animated Miles on 2s and all the other spiders on 1s to show that he wasn't, as accustomed with his powers yet. Good pick.
Nice. Okay, good one. Zach, you have one?
I made a little list.
Okay, hell yeah.
So one that came up on our last episode as a film that inspired our filmmaker John Waters, and it's just kind of been an important film to the queer community, is The Wizard of Oz. That film famously transitions from sepia tone to color to full-on Technicolor.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's actually the first Technicolor film, but it often is thought of as being that because
they announce it. They announce it in their movie.
Yeah.
They're like, now we are in a new land. This is different. And it's a creative choice, which is really cool.
Yeah, and then Oz the Great and Powerful does something similar.
Do they?
Yeah, which is a bad movie. Sorry,
What's
Sam.
the difference? What's the thing?
The movie starts in black and white in 4:3, and then it changes both aspect ratio and obviously becomes film that's in color and not
that's
worth
true.
watching.
Yeah, movies that play with aspect ratio too. That counts.
That's a good one. The Lighthouse is a good one that does that. Plays around the aspect ratio.
Also, Grand Budapest Hotel changes aspect ratio throughout the movie.
Yeah, 3
it
times.
does.
The aspect ratio is different for each time period. There's a movie where a guy kind of looks out of a tall building, and then the aspect ratio widens from like a standard cinema ratio to an IMAX ratio.
What movie would that? That sounds like a movie that I want to watch immediately.
Man, no, it's really cool. It's called Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
That's a great movie that plays with form because it's Mission Impossible 4. Goddamn right. I think we should that's it. That's really what we needed to get to.
A movie that plays around with structure is Memento. That's a movie that is kind of a standard like crime thriller.
Yeah.
If you watch it chronologically, but the film is achronological, so it goes from the ending to the beginning, and features once again an actor that we love and we've been talking about for a few episodes, Mr. Joe Pantoliano, Joey
Pantoliano.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So that's another one. Film that combines animation and live action. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? One of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And then Battleship Potemkin invented the montage.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that played with form for sure.
Yeah.
I just realized Space Jam.
Space
That's
Jam.
a movie that combines animation and live. I did not think of that till just now.
Come on and slam.
Oh, I also thought about Pulp Fiction, and actually I could thank
Oh, yeah,
Mick for introducing me to that movie back in high school, Mick and
No
Casey.
shit?
Yes, you introduced me to that movie.
Fuck. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes,
Well, cool.
And
I love that movie so much.
I love that movie too, and I think that was like the movie that made me into a cinephile. So I would thank Mick and also our friend Casey as well.
That's right.
Shout out to Casey if you're listening.
Sorry,
Another
I'm just
theater camp friend.
having to keep our door closed. Quentin
right.
Tarantino likes to come in here sometimes.
I remember.
Tarantino.
Sorry, really quick. Back during theater camp, I remember that was when fucking The Dark Knight came out.
Yeah.
And everyone was fucking talking about that. That's not a movie that plays with form, really. Is it? No, that doesn't play with
No,
form.
not really.
I mean, not any more than like all films do.
Yeah. Well, so for me, wait, Alexis, do you have any? Let's go with you next, actually.
Like Scott Pilgrim, I feel like kind of brought that whole like comic book world into movies.
Yeah.
That one also messes
That
with
you could
aspect
put that in
ratio.
with Speed Racer.
Yeah.
Of like they kind of capture like anime really well. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Pink Floyd's The Wall goes between live action and animation, and I fucking love that film. It is I think it's as good sober as it is on drugs. So, just
Hell yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Listen, I had a lengthy Pink Floyd phase where I was also taking magic mushrooms. But,
We should sell T-shirts that says "Dare to watch movies with Alexis."
dare to watch movies after taking a few Captain stamps.
Yeah.
and then there's this movie Enter the Void by Gaspar Noé.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that one's crazy.
Yeah, because it's literally like almost all like aerial shots, and you're just like it's this bird's eye view of like everything from the perspective of somebody who's died and kind of ascended. They're basically just, what would you call it? Like a presence. Like that they're being pulled through kind of like feelings and memories of like people that like a person that was important to them in life, and they keep getting pulled into light. And they talk about the Tibetan book I think it's the Book of the Dead or something at the beginning. And there's a concept in that book that relates to how they get pulled, the character or presence, gets pulled into the light and through all these like aerial shots and keeps seeing things throughout this movie. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty trippy. It definitely plays with form quite a bit.
Wow. Sounds like the Necronomicon's in there. That's exciting. I love that.
And then
anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about Drive My Car. I think it played with my expectation of a movie. The movie credits come around the beginning of the movie, but I think it was like 20-40 minutes into the movie when the credits finally fucking come. It's like this whole little like almost like prologue at the beginning of the movie that kind of defies like your expectation of like how the story's gonna go.
Yes.
I love a late title card drop.
Me too.
That rules.
Me too. Oh, speaking of late title cards, there's this really great horror movie called Fresh that does that.
Oh, yeah, Fresh is great.
It is so good. Yeah. So it first starts off as kind of a rom-com or romantic movie, and then it goes into the horror aspect, and then that's when the opening credits start.
Yeah,
that hits
that hits like 25-30 minutes in.
Yeah, 30 minutes in. Yeah.
That's dope.
Barbarian, yes.
Oh my god, yeah, that is.
I actually watched a little bit of that
film.
last night.
Oh, did you?
So
like
fun.
on the plane?
No, not on the plane, but in the hotel room.
Oh,
yeah, I
wow.
watched it. It just happened to come on like HBO or something, and then I was
Such a
like
good
falling
movie.
asleep, and then I woke up. I'm like, oh, Barbarian is on.
It also, that movie also messes with aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, in the flashback sequence.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
go
That's
back and
right.
listen to a Barbarian episode.
Or
why
just
don't you?
fucking watch that movie.
Yeah,
Because
watch
you
the
were in
movie.
for a
It
treat.
rules. It
It's a
fucks.
modern horror classic.
Yeah. Mick, what do you
Yes.
have? Because I have a good movie to transition us. So.
I have a couple of good ones too. Let's see who transitions better.
Okay.
I basically want to talk about docudramas or mockumentaries, and actually a movie
I'm gonna nail this. I'm gonna nail this. You're fucked, buddy.
A movie that I'm gonna mention a few, but one that I think is a little underrated that I particularly enjoyed more than I thought is 2015's Adam McKay's Vice.
I loved that.
Yeah, I liked
movie.
Vice.
Now
I really
that
liked Vice.
is it's pretty conventional when it comes to be a narrative, but so often it becomes meta because the characters will almost stop acting, and then they'll talk at the screen, and they will give you real life information about the real event that they are dramatically recreating.
Yeah, they
Yes.
almost function like a video essay.
It's
It
like a video
is,
essay
yeah.
almost, exactly. And that's why it's this kind of weird combination of it is kind of like a documentary in the way, because it's all giving you real statistics and information about basically the Bush administration, but it's also completely dramatized to where you have a scene with Dick Cheney and his wife speaking, I think it's
Shakespeare.
original Shakespeare text, which by the way is a great scene.
Yeah,
It's an
I
amazing
really-
scene.
love
They
that
also,
scene.
speaking of movies that drop credits, they act like the movie is over at a certain point. Like
Yes.
they start,
They do.
they
Yeah.
start rolling the end credits before Cheney gets approached to be VP.
Yeah. It's really cool. I really like that movie.
Yeah, there's a weird amount of hate on Adam McKay online.
There is.
And
I kind of appreciate his form.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
do
gonna
like
lie.
it too.
Granted, I haven't seen Don't Look Up.
Oh, it's
but
terrible.
Like,
Oh, is it? I haven't seen it either.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad when it kind of talks about climate change and is very surface level, and then you could tell they're kind of like talking about the pandemic too, because
So what,
they
it's
filmed
like-
it in 2020.
It's kind of like virtue signaling a
It
little
is
bit.
so virtual signaling.
Ooh.
It's,
Okay.
Boo.
Yeah, sorry. I don't mind like political commentary because of course I love Vice, but like this one was just too on the nose for me.
Listen, I went on a full-blown rant about The Little Mermaid for like a long time at the beginning of the last episode. If you want to talk shit on Don't Look Up, no one here will
Yeah,
stop you.
no, we won't stop you. Another really, again, I feel like I keep bringing up this guy. I do want to review a movie of his at one point, but
Christopher Guest?
He specializes in the mockumentary. Please watch his trilogy, which is Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, and A Mighty Wind. Waiting for Guffman is about a group of community theater people. I'm referencing Megan right now because that's where we all came. I think we're all theater
Yeah,
kids here.
we all did theater at some point.
All four of us, we're all theater kids. It's a great movie about, again, it's all done in mockumentary style. There's some rural community in Blaine, Missouri that has to put on this show because they think they're going to go to Broadway, and there's this big there's this big producer from Broadway that's going to come and basically kind of greenlight whether or not they're going to go and perform. So they put on the best show they can, and well, watch the ending because it's tragic. And then you have Best in Show, which is about dog shows, super fucking hilarious, and then A Mighty Wind, which is about folk music. Now, the interesting thing is in A Mighty Wind, you have a band called The Folksmen, starring the same three guys who are in Spinal Tap.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah, they're the same group of guys, and Spinal Tap's going to be my last my last mention of a damn good movie that is a full-on mockumentary. Also, another one... I know we don't like to talk
You said
about
it was your final.
I changed my mind. I'm one of the co-hosts. I
Well,
fucking
why
do
you
it. And I've already said it.
Why you fucking
I've already
liar?
said it.
You're such a liar.
Well, what can I do?
Listen, audience,
I'm a
if there's
performer.
one thing you need to know about Mick, it's that he's a liar.
He's a liar.
You can't trust
I'm like
him.
science. Nick's a
boy's a
liar
liar.
sometimes.
Wait, I have
That's
another
the
one
first
too
and only
before we
time I've
finish.
quoted Ice Spice.
The
Yeah,
first,
Alexis, you should go for it.
the first mockumentary ever made, actually, is called Zelig by Woody Allen, and it's actually pretty good.
Really?
Yes,
All right.
the first mockumentary ever made, and it's pretty
I
fucking
heard
hilarious.
that you'll defend all of Woody Allen's
Yeah,
actions.
this is like
I
my
see
second
where
time
no,
you brought up
no,
this
no.
one.
He's been
man.
texting the chat. He's like, I don't
When
think
are we-
he
I don't
did
care.
it.
Cancel me now.
Let's get into it.
He said, everyone put me on blast. Woody Allen is my best friend?
Yeah.
It's weird that he said
Let's
that.
do it. Bring it
He's
on.
a real scarjo
Bring
about
it
this.
on.
He said cancel culture who?
Yeah, exactly.
Alexis, what's yours?
I wanted to shout out Bo Burnham's Inside because it is like
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's a
like,
great one.
You know, it's like a mockumentary because he's pretending like this is all just his own life, you know, and he plays with form throughout the entire fucking movie.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one. Glad you mentioned that one. That movie depressed the hell out of me.
Yeah.
People thought it was funny. I was like, are we watching the same fucking
There
movie?
are bits that are very funny.
It's like, Jesus.
I think-
White woman's Instagram gets me every fucking time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. That is super
I
hilarious.
think it was as funny as it was like sad. Like it definitely made me like bawl a few times, but it also like made me feel really seen. Maybe if you just have lived with depression your whole life, you find it more funny.
Yeah.
So one film that
What the fuck was that? That's not how you segue out of Alexis's.
catchphrase.
Jesus,
how I
listeners,
did.
that's not a new thing.
How I did. So one film that plays with form and documentary and fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert for this movie
Yeah.
is One Cut of the Dead. One Cut of the Dead is I believe it's a Japanese film.
Is that the movie we watched together?
Yeah, so it starts out as like this zombie film that's
Yeah.
all in one shot.
It's pretty good.
And you get to the end of the zombie movie, which is about, 25, 30 minutes long. And then you realize that this is a movie that's being shot to be aired on TV.
Oh,
so you
that's
cut
crazy.
back to the filmmakers who are, present. I think it is a mockumentary film.
Oh, that's fun.
You cut back to them getting the assignment to make this one-cut zombie movie.
Yeah.
And then you see them plan out the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then you see them shoot it again at the end. Like, you see what you saw at the opening, but from different angles where you can see people, like, running around outside, what's going wrong.
I gotta check out this movie. What's
No,
it
it's
called
really-
again?
One Cut of the Dead.
It's really good.
That's
I'm
a
adding it on
great
my watch
movie.
list right now.
Part of what makes that really good, now I see why it's a really good segue.
Yeah,
I agree. It's
Yeah, I
great.
fucking got you.
So,
I got you, you son of a bitch.
the reason-
Don't question my methods.
The reason it's a really good segue is because One Cut of the Dead is also, it's a kind of a mockumentary about making movies.
Yes.
And that's really cool. And that's something that we love here at this podcast. We love making movies. We
Sure do.
We went to film camp together, Megan and I, and you two watch movies sometimes. So and we all that's not true.
Not like you
we all
are my
make movies.
fucking DP on a movie I directed.
That's right. Which, by the way,
That I edited.
what was that called again?
Yeah.
What was that called again?
Realm of Nightmare.
Realm of Nightmare. For some reason, I was like, is that Nightmare Alley? No, Realm of Nightmare.
Yes, I did direct Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, very
All the
good.
credit.
But no, so that's going to lead us into the movie that we're all discussing today, which I'm very excited to discuss. We now today are talking about The Watermelon Woman from 1996. I'm going to amend a previous statement of mine. This is directed by Cheryl Dunye. It's not Dunye and it's not Dune. It is Cheryl Dunye.
Yeah, so fun fact, Mick at the end of the last episode was like, directed by Cheryl Dune. Was it Dunye? No, I think it's Dune.
Dune, yeah.
So
So
he
I was-
almost got out of it,
almost got
and then he went right
Well,
back
not
in.
even there. Well, no, I think it's a Dunye.
You're a bad guy.
Yeah, I was like Dunye, and
You're
it was
a
like,
fucking bad
that's
guy.
That's not right. So, The Watermelon Woman is about an aspiring black lesbian filmmaker researching an obscure 1940s black actress billed as the Watermelon Woman. And that is all that Google has. They once again fucking whiffed it. Like, that is not what this movie is about at all. Well, I mean, it's partly about what it's about.
Partially, yeah.
But there's a lot more to it than that. I was first introduced to this film in a feminist film theory course I took back up in Oregon. Woot woot, represent Oregon. And I really had a good time with it. I only watched it once years ago because of that class. And yesterday was the first time I have revisited this film, and I can see why I remember liking it so much. Mm-hmm. It is a filmmaker's delight. She is absolutely a great watch, Cheryl, because she is the writer, director, and star of this film. She's fantastic. She works at a video store. She's making a film project. She moonlights on the side as doing videos for people's marriages or events. It's a celebration of cinema. It's a movie about making a movie. It's got everything I want. It was an absolute delight for me to watch. How did we feel about it? Megan, this was your first time watching it, right?
This was my first time, but I don't even know if I could call it my first time because actually while I was watching the movie, I actually remembered a lot of it. Then it took me back to when I was in school and I was doing, I believe, a photography project. And I think my theme was like old Hollywood, Black Hollywood, things like that. And while I was researching for that, I actually came across this film and how it was made. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a very interesting movie. I want to watch it eventually. And I've watched like clips of it, but I haven't watched it entirely through. And yeah, amazing movie. I absolutely loved it. And it was everything that I wanted in a movie. I love movies about movies and movies about making movies. And it was really cool to see a black lesbian perspective, and it's such a great like queer film because you don't really see that a lot in cinema. Like, I mean, obviously you do get like a little bit of black representation, but you don't really get black queer representation a lot. And I really liked that, it's almost all queer women in this film. You don't see like any straight couples. Yeah. So it's just like, it's very interesting to see.
That's true.
that.
You don't.
Yeah, there's not.
That's
Yeah,
really
it's
cool.
just lesbians
Why
just
would we want
talking
that?
and like, yeah, exactly.
As Mr. John Waters once wrote,
Exactly.
the world of heterosexuals is a sad and boring place.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it just feels very genuine because, of course, like Cheryl, she's a lesbian, and I don't know about the sexuality of her co-stars, but it felt real because you could tell when like Hollywood writes lesbians, and you could tell when it's actually through a perspective of someone within the community.
Yeah, no, it's a good time, and just the aesthetic of it.
Yes,
just the vibe of it. I was telling Zach, like, this is such. If you were to give like an example of what's a great '90s independent film, I would be so tempted to hand them a box of The Watermelon Woman.
Yeah,
just the music, the shots of Philly. Again, I love it because this movie is a narrative, and it is a fictional film. There's a lot of stuff, dramatic recreation going on, but it's also capturing 90s Philly completely just unobscured. You get a snapshot of it, you get a slice of life, which I really enjoy. You're getting lots of footage of just kids playing or people walking on the sidewalk, and you know those are all real people. And I just love kind of getting like that's what film is so exciting, is it's kind of a time capsule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially with all of the creative choices in this. So that's part of the reason I really get a kick out of it.
Mm-hmm. Alexis, you've
Literally,
got something.
all of the outfits in this I would wear now. Like,
Right,
the fashion's
right.
great.
And I was like, all this
love the
90s
outfits.
fashion, yes, doing it for me.
Tamara specifically
Tamara's great.
Loved her outfit.
You know, I
too.
have fucking like 2 pairs of overalls. You know, I'd be rocking that shit.
Yeah.
Also, she is
Yeah,
my favorite character. The shit she says is so out of pocket and so fucking funny. Like, okay,
Yeah,
wait.
Tamara it's great.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's
there's
so great. Honey,
one line that.
wait, can I? Well, you go, Zach. You
Go for it.
Oh, I had a Tamara line that I really fucking got me, is when she's talking to Annie, who's like the kind of punk white woman
I
who
think it's
works
the one
at
I was about to say.
I loved her. Yeah.
And Annie's talking about how she could take Cheryl to the Center for Lesbian Info and Technology, or CLIT. Tamara just goes, "You're so helpful, Annie. I mean, you probably know a good place to get a clit piercing."
I love that. That's such a good line.
Okay, wait, no, the other one that
fucking
it was
savage.
literally involving Annie too, where Annie was like, I really need like a name tag so that like people will hit on me. And then Tamara
dog
was like,
collar.
honey, if a dog collar didn't do it for you, a name tag won't either. And I died.
Either. I love that. And I was just like, okay, we have a little bit of BDSM representation too.
A Tamara bit that I really liked was it Big Black Bald
Bald black
Yes.
ball busters.
The Bald Black Ball Busters, and
She rents
Tamara
that
was like,
videotape.
"What?" Like, I was kind of curious what it looked like.
Yeah, she says, "I was curious to see what they'd look like without hair."
That whole, honestly, all of the video store scenes I love.
Yeah.
I mean, not just because it's a video store, but also like the video store owner, the manager.
Oh my god, he's so funny.
He's hilarious. I love it when he's like, you know what? Actually, I'll take this. Can I help you? Yeah, I want to rent this movie. Okay, great. Do you want a job? He's just so fed up.
I also just love how he just
so
like
funny.
throws hella shade at Tamara, like when she like saying like, oh yeah, and this customer ordered ball busters, black ball busters, and looking dead at her like, I know it was fucking you.
Yeah, for real. And then like that manager's like kind of flirting with, what is the love interest name?
Diana.
Diana.
He's kind of flirting with Diana, and then Tamara goes to the back of the house like, you got a phone call. It's your girlfriend.
No, it's someone who says she's your
Right,
girlfriend.
yeah. So like got him on blast.
Okay, also
So funny.
I gotta call her out because I know that Tamara is a fucking liar. She would never be into Yvette. She's lying straight to her friend's face. She's like, why don't you go out with her? Like, she sings, she's nice,
Yeah,
she
I
dresses
think she's
nice. I'm like,
cute.
you're a liar,
Yeah.
dirty liar.
That's something that some of the lesbian writers who I was reading about this film talked about, is how this movie gets the like painful sincerity of lesbians totally right.
Trying to set your
Yvette's
friends up.
song, the slam poetry and
my God,
Yvette's like brutally
Nails on a chalkboard.
terribly performed song that she is so convinced she is killing is like
The la-las.
awful to watch and is like something that is clearly observed. That's something you've seen by being part of a community.
Yeah, this is a genuinely good comedy.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a funny
This is
movie.
a funny film. I love that whole thing. It's just so funny. The woman who played Yvette, just
Hysterical.
5 stars.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a tough thing to act poorly
Yes.
on purpose
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
sing poorly. Just ask Leonardo DiCaprio, who had to do that bit for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like, he got clammy. The woman who played Yvette, she went up there and fucking did it, and she nailed it.
She sure
Good
did.
sequence.
So one other thing that I really appreciate about this movie is how convincingly it builds the like history of the Watermelon Woman and this, all of these early race films that don't exist.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I literally during the movie I looked up, I was like, is
Yeah, no.
is Faye
I had
real?
already seen this movie before, and the first 20 minutes or so, I thought, oh, these are real film
Yeah,
titles.
I looked up Faith Richardson, actress. I'm like, is
That's
that
not a
a person?
person.
Like,
Yeah.
and I like that this movie, is largely about the erasure of like early black
Yeah.
actresses and early black
It
cinema.
kind of reminds me of Nope a little bit,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, you know what it
all
kind of
comes back
also
to
reminded
Nope.
me of?
Are we talking about Nope again? I love it. Are we talking about my favorite movie of last year?
Yes, I would also say a little bit of the movie Babylon to a certain extent kind of reminded me
Oh,
of that.
interesting.
Yeah, because it's like old
Yeah,
Hollywood.
okay.
They touched upon it with the character Sydney, which was the black trumpet player.
Yeah.
But
Right.
like the movie could have gone deeper when it came to like black actresses in Hollywood, but that's like a lot to ask from like a 3-hour long movie that's not about Sydney's character, but it reminded
But a
me
valid
of that.
critique nonetheless.
Yeah, valid critique. And then also there's this one show called Hollywood, only like it was a limited series.
Oh, yeah. I
Right,
saw
yeah,
that.
Ryan Murphy show. Yeah, it was a Ryan Murphy show.
Yeah.
Talked about that briefly, kind of through the lens of like one of the characters. I forgot her name, but she's kind of playing like Dorothy Dandridge type of character.
Okay.
And she was an actual old Hollywood star. And then of course, with Watermelon Woman, you see a picture of Dorothy Dandridge, also Hattie McDaniel too. So it kind of combines the fictional and
It
also
does a
the real
great
life
job.
too.
Yeah.
So you kind of think like, what is this? Like, is this real? But the story of the Watermelon Woman is very true to old Hollywood history and Black Hollywood history. So I thought that was really cool because it seems so believable because this is actually like somewhat of a true story, or at least true experiences, because Black women, they were often forced to play the maid or the cook. And it wasn't until Lena Horne that said, no, I'm not going to play a maid or a cook. And that was in the 1940s and 50s. But still, she was having trouble finding work as well. Same thing with Dorothy Dandridge as well.
Wow. Yeah, that is something honestly, something else that this movie kind of reminds me of is, the white lesbian director of the old, what was her name again in this
Martha
film?
Page.
Martha.
Yeah, Martha Page.
Right, Martha Page. It's probably inspired from Dorothy Arzner,
Yeah.
which was something I mentioned.
Yeah.
Which honestly, for next Pride Month on this show, I would like to review a Dorothy Arzner film.
Christopher
For those of
Shaw.
you who don't know, Christopher Shaw or Now Voyager is another really good one. It's really good. Now the thing is, her films aren't explicitly queer, but they are queer texts because she's a queer creator.
Yeah.
And that was something that, I don't know, I just think that really interesting. But yeah, again, in the beginning, I was like, is this like a real person? But no, it's all fictionalized, so it's really well done.
Yeah. Well, it also works really well thematically. I have a few things that I want to pull from this Variety article that was like a retrospective on this movie.
Yeah.
So one is kind of the connection between Martha and Diana, which this write-up says, it becomes clear that both Martha and Diana exhibit the benign racism of white liberals, the kind whose ostentatious gestures of compassion towards black people are more about moral vanity than real respect. And I don't know, I felt like that was just like such a great way to tie the two narratives together. I don't know, for a movie this short, it's just so like economical in its
is.
storytelling. Nothing is out of place. Nothing is wasted. Everything is thematically and narratively resonant. I really like that. Yeah, and then the one other thing I wanted to circle back to, talking about how, like Megan was saying, the story of Faith mirrors a lot of real early Black Hollywood stars. So it might be telling that Dunye came up with the story of the Watermelon Woman when she was in graduate school. She was traveling back and forth between the Lesbian Herstory Archives in New York, which is what Clit is based on, and the Library of Congress in D.C., trying to learn about black women in early cinema, only to find that many of the actors were credited by racist monikers or not at all. She began to feel frustrated by the lack of documentation, by the lost lives and unacknowledged gifts of actors and filmmakers whose stories she couldn't access. In the film, the Watermelon Woman becomes a stand-in for all of these people, for the talent, humor, and courage that our culture misses out on when we determine that some people aren't worth paying attention to.
Yeah.
And then that ties into, the final quote in the movie. This is from an article on the New Republic. Sometimes you have to create your own history, the end credits say. The Watermelon Woman is fiction.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's really quite beautiful.
It is
I thought that
beautiful.
was very significant.
Yeah. Erasure fucking sucks. Because, again, there's so much rich history that just isn't... It just isn't documented. Or was not documented. And that's just really fucked.
And intentionally not documented, too, which is terrible. But... Yeah, that's kind of like the thing, too, because it's, a lot of times when people think old Hollywood, they think white people. They don't really think about all of the other, they don't think about black people. They don't think about Asian people. And there were black and Asian actors, and everyone just chucks it up to, oh, yeah, segregation, so black people weren't allowed to act. Like, no, they were, but just different worlds, and, of course, there's that erasure of it.
Yeah. I mean, and chalk it up to, like, as a film viewer myself, my own ignorance of those kinds of films that I know nothing about. Like, the scene where Cheryl and Tamara visits, it's like her uncle, right? Or a family member or a family friend that is kind of a film academic.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a Tamara friend?
Yeah.
Okay. But he's kind of like an academic with film, and he has all these... First of all, I love this guy because I identify a lot with him. But he has all these great posters in his house. And I'm like, and the titles that some of them are just so great. I'm like, are these real movies? Because I fucking hope so. And I want to watch them.
Yeah, on my latest trip to the Academy Museum, I added a lot of these, like, early black films to my watch list because they had a whole display on, like, all of the different studios that were making race films.
Right.
Which one of them, I think it's Liberty Pictures or Liberty, that's mentioned in this movie.
Mentioned in the movie.
That's a real studio.
Yeah. So that's cool. Again, the way that Cheryl pulled from history about it. And, I watched an interview with her online, just curious, and she mentioned that a big part of this movie and what made it what it is Philadelphia. Because Cheryl talked about that's a movie that is steeped in black history because it's right over the Mason-Dixie line. So all the freed slaves, a lot of them ended up settling in Philadelphia. So there's such a rich history of black-owned businesses, of black-managed businesses, and there's even placards and stuff that you even see real clips of in the movie of just signs that say, like 100 years ago, so-and-so, was a black business owner who basically made this whole block what it is. And Cheryl said that, when you grow up in a community around that, you have such an interest and appreciation for your own history. So she kind of wanted to have a film that is very much in spirit of Philadelphia as a city for what it means to the black community.
Yeah, and that's beautiful too. And that's one thing that I noticed too is, there's a lot of black-owned businesses because of segregation. And, there was only, the reason why there's black areas is because of that as well. So there's black-owned businesses that were flourishing. And obviously this was before the big gentrification boom of like today. So that's kind of like, it was really cool because this is like a time capsule of that, but who knows if those businesses are still active nowadays because of gentrification. So that's a whole nother topic, but I just thought of it from that perspective.
Weird? Speaking of all other topics that's not relevant to this movie at all, but I'm going to mention it. Has anyone here been, so in LA we have something called the Vegan Exchange. You should check it out because you're
Okay, I'll
here
check
on
it out.
Sunday. It's in the Valley, and there are so many Black-owned businesses at the
nice.
Vegan Exchange. It's really fucking cool. You go there, and like, there's so many fucking Black people just like making the food and then going there as customers, and it's also just a place to go and fucking dress to the nines.
Nice.
It's kind of this cool Sunday thing. So that's
Wait, so
something-
you must feel incredibly out of place.
I
there.
do because I'm like
you dress
oh
like
my
shit,
god,
buddy.
I know it's awful. But it's
I'm dressed
honestly
great.
it's really fucking cool. So if you want to support, first of all, if you're in LA and you want to support Black businesses and you want some really fucking good vegan food, go to the Vegan Exchange.
Oh, I have to check
that's
it out.
that's an official Vegan Exchange plug. I've done it.
Well, Mick, that's a wonderful plug.
Love
Good
it.
job.
Thank you. You always say that to me.
Circling back to the movie,
Let's do
Yeah,
that.
circling back.
Let's talk
on
about the
topic.
movie.
The movie.
It only,
I can
it
talk
only,
about Black businesses all I want.
it only took us a fucking hour to get to the movie. Let's start to dig in now.
One of the things I really enjoyed about it was that, like, Cheryl shows that it's like, it's not only just like white people that have written history, erased history, but not only just that, they're now the ones who are guarding that history and interpreting it for other people, because you see the librarians who are, you know, they're supposed to be people that just like be giving that out, right? And he's like handing her like a ton of fucking attitude about it. Same thing with the person at like the archives, like she's super like condescending and like won't let her take any photos of it. I think she refers to her as like sister. It was gross. But yeah, so I love how
The
that
woman
comes
at
across.
Cliff,
The woman
yeah.
And
in
then
the clay.
the fucking white lady who's like, I don't know, like a theorist or something, where she's like talking
Oh
about
Oh my gosh!
God.
Oh, I cringed so bad.
of the Manny
She's-
character, and I was like,
Yes.
oh my god,
god.
That was a
I was
great
wondering what you
performance.
guys thought about
Yeah.
that too. She legitimately made me so mad about
look-
like, oh, it reminds me of my Italian grandmother, and I'm just like, oh my god.
What got me
No.
is that the colors of a watermelon are the colors of the Italian flag. So I have that's why I have a voice in this conversation. I remember looking at Zach going, well, that's an interesting
he
take.
looked over at me and I was, this is a visual medium, so I'll just do this.
Yeah.
Mouth agape.
That honestly might be one of my favorite parts of the movie.
So she's
Because
a,
it's...
I don't remember what her name is, but she's like an actual theorist who,
Wow.
Shut up, that's
Cheryl
crazy.
Dunye had come in and play this role.
That is
Wow.
funny.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you want me to read?
Oh,
She's like,
oh,
man.
no, like,
She played that so
Yeah.
well.
So she did.
Yeah.
It's a great performance.
She's like, oh,
Literally being
the
like-
shit, they're not slaves. They're like a sign of abundance and fertility.
Yeah,
and I
it's
was like,
like
please, ma'am, no.
a matronly nature goddess. It's like, these films, one of these is called Plantation
Plantation
Woman.
Woman. Yeah.
What are you talking about? Yeah, that was absolutely fucking bananas.
It was very bananas. I was just like, what? And then like it kind of goes into like the whole thing about like, oh, I'm not white, I'm Italian type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of
Which is a
that.
personal favorite of mine. Of fucking the audacity of white people. Like, no. I could say this because I'm Italian. It's like,
You have to respect my Italian X heritage.
Italian X.
Yeah, I respect the Italian X community.
oh man.
Mamma mia.
Manjo.
So it was very good. It was giving that, and oh my gosh, yeah, that scene. I was just like, what? And I kept having to remind myself that this is a kind of a semi-mockumentary, Megan.
Yeah.
This is
Right.
not true. But I would like, you know, the conversation is so real, and then like about how Cheryl's just like, you know, interviewing her. It's like, oh, okay, interesting, and that's just something that like
Yeah.
Black people do.
Yeah. Cheryl's like, that's going in. That's going into my film project.
One of the themes that I loved was when she has the conversation with Martha Page's sister or something, and she just
Yes.
like
Oh,
totally
yes, that was a great
denies
scene.
like my sister wasn't like that, and she was just like, and you could see Diana just like immediately like backs down and is like not willing to like go for it, but Cheryl's
Yeah,
like, no,
she gets
no,
nervous.
I'm gonna go for this right now, and she just straight
Yeah,
up
for real.
takes,
I love how
takes the
Cheryl comes over,
lavalier
just
off of
unclips
her.
the microphone.
And then she just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
walks back to the camera, and I was all, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That is a great sequence.
great.
That honestly, that reminds me of reason this really resonates with Cheryl is because it turns out the more she learns about the Watermelon Woman, the more that she kind of figures out that, oh, her life kind of parallels mine
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
She's queer. She's in an interracial relationship, which is why there's that kind of rift that happens between Tamara and Cheryl, kind of referring to the interracial aspect of it.
And it connects to that thing that Faith's living partner says, she's a black lesbian as well. She says, if you're really the family, she tells Cheryl, you need to understand that we only have each other. The message is that black lesbianism is something in need of defense, something uniquely imperiled, and also uniquely precious.
Yeah, no, that's true, because like there's a lot of racism within the LGBT community, and there's not really that much intersectionality. So oftentimes, as a black queer person, you're often feeling like, where's my spot? And then you just feel community within other black folks within the community. So yeah, there's a lot of like intersectionality within it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought like that movie actually represented that well.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, getting to the issue of intersectionality, that also plays into Dunye as like the first out black lesbian filmmaker to make a feature film.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned that yet.
Yeah, so she has this quote in the Variety article where she says, when I was looking for auteurs who looked like me or worked like me or thought like me, I was only able to fulfill them in separate categories. People who were playing with form like Jean-Luc Godard, or early African filmmakers like Ousmane Sembene, folks who somehow came out on a Criterion DVD or videotape. Seeing Criterion stuff was like, wow, as a young filmmaker. So to be on their channel now in this new modern age is amazing because this movie recently got a Criterion release.
Yeah, it did. Well, they removed their paywall. I mean, the reason that came up was because during the George Floyd protests, Criterion removed their paywall because they wanted people to watch this from its a black voice. And Cheryl was like, "Oh, they did not let me know that, but good for fucking them."
Cool.
Yeah, free movies. That's great.
But yeah, I just thought that was like, an interesting comment that like, not only does this movie depict a community that often isn't seen on film, but
Ever.
like, this sort of person is not typically seen as like a filmmaker. So
Yeah,
that's what I got.
nice.
That's where I'm gonna somebody else take over.
The baton was dropped.
You basically like said it all.
As a side note, the Criterion channel, which I am subscribed to because, I'm just balling out here, in debt, but I'm just going to keep paying money to watch different movies on different streaming channels.
Listen, you dig deeper, eventually you'll come out the other side.
Right? Yeah. There's like a whole
That's what I always
section
say.
that's obviously, it's Pride Month, so they have like a whole section on that, but then they also have like a section that's just on like masks, and then like butch lesbians and also like studs and everything like that. So, there's like a few movies that are on the Criterion channel if you want to check out something with more actual like black queer people. So
Nice.
Definitely
check that out.
Hell yeah. Speaking of queer films that are independent, this film is actually kind of like, it almost feels like a spiritual successor, or at least in spirit, almost like a sister film to, have y'all seen Go Fish?
I haven't.
So that is a queer film that came out in, I want to say 91 maybe, but it also stars, I think you pronounce her name, Guinevere Turner, who plays Diana.
Yeah.
She's also the lead in Go Fish. And just for a second, there's a clip of a woman in the beginning of this at the party who also stars in Go Fish, and they make fantastic companion pieces. Okay. If you're interested in independent 90s lesbian film.
I'm pretty sure Cheryl brought that up in her interview on Variety.
It's also a great film.
Didn't they double feature The Watermelon Woman and Go Fish like together at the New Beverly a while back?
Yeah. They played it this past week, and that was I think Go Fish was the second feature.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, very good. Also, fucking shout out to Irene Dunye, who plays Cheryl's mom and is Cheryl's mom.
I loved her too.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of my interactions that I have with my mom and also my grandma too. It just reminded me so much, like trying to like get them back into some topic. Like, hey, I'm trying to ask you about this, and then
literally the whole fact of her being like, oh, like let's talk about this, and she's like, I don't remember any of that, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm triggered.
Yeah, for real. Like we literally discussed this before I came over.
And then when she says they were really weird people, you would have loved them. I was like, my mom's literally said some shit like that to me too before. So I was like, yeah.
Right? No, like the way the interactions with, her mom was just so amazing, and that's something within like the Black community that actually reminded me of. Is just like a lot of times when we talk about queer people in the Black community, it's like, oh, is that your little friend? Which is code for your girlfriend boyfriend type of thing.
Right.
Your little friend. So that's kind of reminded me of like, oh yeah, they were like flamboyant people. Like it's code for gay because they don't want to say gay, especially the ones that are like religious Christian folks. Yeah. It's like that. Even if you do have a queer child, it's like that. Yeah. So that's what it kind of reminded me of too. It's like, yeah, they're accepting. It's just like, it's not like, oh yeah, my daughter's a lesbian. It's like, oh yeah, she has her little friends,
Little friends, yeah.
Little friends.
Her roommates.
Those little devils.
And they were roommates.
So real quick thing about the response to this movie. So this movie was partially funded by an NEA grant.
Yes.
So it got some government money.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. So the film received limited attention when it was originally released in the U.S., but that didn't stop it from generating controversy when Michigan Republican Peter Hoekstra,
I know this story.
Cited it as inappropriate use of government funds. He tried to unsuccessfully to get his colleagues in Congress to deduct Dunye's $31,500. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, no, this...
It's $31,500 bucks. That's fucking nothing in government.
Does it say what the slander was, which is like he accused this of being pornography?
Yes, grant from the NEA
budget,
budget, citing NEA funding for a series of gay and lesbian films that most Americans would find offensive, and referring to The Watermelon Woman specifically as patently offensive and possibly pornographic. For like a sex scene that is pretty fucking tame.
It is very tame compared to...
it's beautiful, too.
What's that movie? Have you seen Blue is the Warmest Color?
Yes.
It is a pornographic scene.
No, that is a lesbian scene directed by a heterosexual male.
Yeah, so it's very giving lesbian porn, but like this one is not. It's actually giving queer sex.
Yes, no, it was a very, very beautiful sex scene, and again, I feel it's just all about touching and sensation.
Yeah.
It's not just about pardon my language here, but just tits and ass.
Yeah.
It's just like it's very sensual. It's very beautiful. But he tries to get it pulled because it got government funding, taxpayers' dollars, which is so cool. The fact that all independent movies in this country don't get that is a real shame, if you ask me. Canada, let's go. Canada does it right.
Like, where's our David Cronenberg money?
Yeah, for real.
Yes. You want to talk about some fucking sick pornographic movies that most people would object to.
But thankfully, that boycott went fucking nowhere because both audiences and critics alike knew it was full of shit. In fact, this debuted at the Berlin Film Festival, The Watermelon Woman, and received like fucking 10-minute standing ovation. And won awards. And this was Cheryl's first ever movie. So that's really cool. I'm glad that she got recognition for that. She also received like a reward from like a queer. Yeah, her first feature. And I believe she received the Teddy Award, which is like a queer film award. And at the time, it was like an actual just teddy bear that she got.
Yeah, which has since been lost.
Which she lost it because she had kids. But that's pretty cool. So this movie got recognition for it got a shout out from a Republican senator, which is like, as a filmmaker, if you can get the ire of the Republican Party, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
That just applies to life in general.
I think so,
for real.
Really.
All right. Well, little behind the scenes fact. For some reason, my computer's not charging, so we should probably start wrapping things up fairly soon. Megan, any closing thoughts as our guest?
The movie is awesome, and I really like the scene with the collard greens and how she puts turkey wings inside the greens, that's actually the way to do it instead of pork. So
Okay.
Oh.
Love it.
Wait,
We
hold
love
on.
fucking
Wait,
cooking,
hold
Tim.
a minute. So you use turkey instead of pork?
yes,
I don't eat red meat, which means I can actually eat the
you
authentic
can.
version.
Yep.
Fuck yeah. Hell yes. I love that. That's awesome. You heard it here, folks.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I'm so happy that we watched this movie.
It's a good movie,
It's even better on a rewatch. I might honestly buy it for the shelf. Because
Hell
it's
yeah.
just such a vibe.
Great
The
movie.
music is so great. If you love great 90s music, you'll get plenty of that here.
Wonderful. Alrighty, well, that brings us to the end of our discussion on the Watermelon Woman.
That's
Megan,
right.
thank you so much for coming
it's been
out.
a
Yeah,
pleasure.
man, this was fantastic.
Yes.
Also, are you the first guest that we've had? I mean, you wouldn't know this, but she might be the first guest that we've had that actually listens to our show.
yeah, I
Which
think so.
is kind of cool. So, Megan, thank you so much for supporting us.
I love it. It's so good.
We love that.
It's so good.
Yeah, and then, a little
Don't touch
mic
that.
out. Yeah, gotta be careful.
Megan, where can the people find you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could find me on Instagram, TikTok, and also Letterboxd at MeaganzWorld. That is MEAGANZ
That's right.
Yeah.
Megan's World. Check it out. It's generally, you have some fantastic reviews.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And great little video essays.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Love it. And now it is time
Uh-oh.
for me to announce my pick for our final episode of Queer Cinema Month. As previously mentioned, I was outsourcing suggestions to queer listeners of this show.
Outed, you might say.
And I have decided... Yeah, all right. I have decided that we will be talking about 2 films next week. I'm doing a double feature.
It's about time.
That's right. So one of my picks comes from Salvador, who suggested that we cover Y tu mama tambien, which is an Alfonso Cuarón film from 2001.
Very
it stars
nice.
Diego Luna and Gael Garcia Bernal.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh my
So
god,
I'm
two
excited.
very hot
And
leads.
it's gonna be a gay boy road trip movie
is.
because
Oh,
our other film
I might watch
is
that.
My
Yeah, you
Own
should.
Private Idaho, suggested by former
You have
guest
to watch
Yes,
it
Oregon
again.
movie.
former guest Edwin from 1991. It's
Hell yeah,
directed by
Edwin.
Gus Van Sant, and it stars
Wait,
Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix.
I didn't
amazing.
know that Gus Van Sant's gay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I found that out yesterday.
Yes,
Wow,
he is a
Which
gay
is super
filmmaker.
fucking cool.
And with that
Where can
brings
you
us
find those
to the
movies?
end of the episode. You can rent both of those movies on
Tight.
Amazon Prime or
Good.
YouTube. And if you want to find us, the Film Majors, you can find us at Film Majors Pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you want to write in, tell us what are some of your favorite gay road trip movies, because there's a few. You can email us at filmmagerspod@gmail.com.
Yeah, and again, we have a wonderful guest. Thank you again, Megan, for coming on. Please
Thank
plug your show
you.
one more time in case anyone missed it.
Yeah, so that is Megan's World on Instagram, TikTok, and Letterboxd. MEAGANZ World.
Hell yeah. Check it out, folks.
Love it.
Give a like, follow her. And Film Majors, we will see you next week.
That's us signing off.
That's all, folks.